Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nikki, and we are in the process of turning our new house into our dream home. Today we're going to look back at last spring when my husband, my mother, and I set out to build a mammoth built-in entertainment unit in our huge living room. So I'm just starting out with some before shots to show you really where we had originally thought that we were going to put the built-in, and that changed after we got everything home, and you'll see why that was. But this is essentially the space that we had from the moment that we bought the house. This is where we thought we were going to put the built-in, and that's not really where it ended up. So before we headed to the hardware store, Garrett and I sat down at the table just to discuss what we both were thinking, make sure we were on the same page, and once we were, we went to Home Depot like we had some kind of clue what we were doing. We did not, spoiler alert, but we acted like we did, and that's what really matters. So before we get down to like the nitty-gritty, I just wanted to say that my hope in sharing this with you all is really more just to document this time in our lives and not so much for this to be a how-to video, mostly because we can barely recall how we, let alone how to. So I don't know how any of this was really supposed to be done. I'm not a carpenter, neither is my husband. Probably closer to it now than we were when we started, but we don't really know what we were doing, and we didn't then, but we figured it out and it looks beautiful now. So hopefully you'll be inspired by this video, maybe to try something like this on your own. Just don't reference this as a how-to video because it is not. So here we see that my husband is building a base to set the cabinets on, and that is because we decided to go with upper cabinets because we wanted a more narrow cabinet. We liked that look. We didn't want it to take up too much floor space. But if you'll notice that lower cabinets in a kitchen or a bathroom have a built-in base and uppers do not. So we decided to set them up a little bit off the ground with a base, and that's what my husband was building there. Our plan changed almost immediately, and we decided, hey, we're gonna build this built-in on this wall instead. So we had to go back and rebuild that base that we had already built, and I think we ended up bringing 2, maybe 3 or 4 of the cabinets that we had purchased. We ended up bringing them back to the store because now this wall was smaller, so we saved some money doing that, and it ended up being just a little less grandiose than what we had originally decided, but it works out so much better on this wall than I think it would have on the other wall. It still would have been super cool, but I don't think that it would have fit as well as it ended up fitting. And the only reason that we decided to move it over here was that we had the TV kind of pushed over temporarily and realized, oh yeah, this fits so much better over there. So we really had no idea before we started that that's what was going to happen. Once the base was built and we got the cabinet set up on there, we and decided to move it to the other wall. We set it up the way that we wanted it, and we kind of pulled the middle cabinets out a little bit just to give it that much more depth, and braced it to the wall, and that was kind of it for the first week or two until my husband had time in between working and all the other activities that he's involved in. He would find little spaces of time to add a little bit more, and that's why you don't see much video here. It's really just pictures of I would be gone and I would come home and there'd be something new built on, and I didn't have time to get footage of it, or I didn't know that he was going to be working on it. So most of the main frame of the whole cabinet system was built when I wasn't at home, and I would just come home sometimes and it would be done. After the major parts of building were done, my husband kind of handed it off to me and my mom, and we, with no knowledge or skills whatsoever, kind of worked our way through, guessed, watched YouTube videos, just kind of went with our gut on what we were supposed to do, would ask Garrett occasionally, and some friends that we have, some relatives that we have that are carpenters, you know, what tool do we do here, what cut am I supposed to make here, and just kind of guessed our way through it. So that's pretty much what you're going to see for the rest of this video. It's just my mom and I kind of guessing how this is supposed to be done and doing our best to make it look okay.
Yeah. Now we fit. Kind of. Alright, so I just have to figure out how much to shave off up here so that'll fit right behind there, and then how to cut it there. Semi-successful. Oh. You know how they say on the back of like cold medicine or like cough syrup, do not operate heavy machinery? I'm on a lot of cold medicine right now, and I just realized that I didn't have to do that. Oh well. Still a piece that was stuck in there, so at least I got that out. But that was like 10 minutes of my life I'll never get back. It's fine. Okay, I'll just keep pushing forward. So I didn't have to do it because right here, right here, you see my finger? It's not gonna start. So this part is just gonna get cut off anyways. So it didn't really matter that it didn't sit square into this hole over here, because that's not gonna be there. But something will be there. We're gonna put trim down here, so maybe I just save some work for Garrett later, but serious when I'm taking out the wood glue. Have to get this on there and nail like 10,000 nails.
So before this project, I had never used a power tool other than like a drill in my whole life. So learning how to use the table saw and the miter saw and the nail gun, these were all brand new skills for me. They were terrifying, but I'm very comfortable with them now, but I was not then, and I kept forgetting to wear eye protection, and I got splinters in my eyes and in my fingers and all of the crazy things you think of aside from like losing a finger. Everyone still has all their digits, but my mom and I definitely learned so much through this from Garrett and from YouTube and, like I said, from relatives that are carpenters and things, and just kind of figuring it out as we go. So I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity to learn this stuff. It made me so much more confident in woodworking and just using tools in general, but I feel way more confident just as an adult that knows how to do these things now. I kind of feel like I can tackle anything just from this one project. Granted, it was a huge project, but it really gave me a lot of skills, or gave me the opportunity to learn skills that I just would not have ever had any reason to know. But now I do. The original plan was that Garrett was going to build basically this entire thing himself, and then I would just paint it. But at some point I realized he just doesn't have the time to get it done in the time frame that my impatience wanted it done. So that was really the driving force in me learning how to use these tools, was that I needed to get this done for my own sanity. So if I didn't have him to finish it, then I was just going to have to learn it myself. So that's what I did. And I'm really glad that the Lord gave me that opportunity to just dive in like that and figure it out. It's not perfect, and I'm sure that we made a lot of mistakes, or at least took some shortcuts that maybe we didn't have to, or things like that. Like, we probably could have made it a whole lot better, but I'm just grateful that we were actually able to even try, that this opportunity presented itself for us to dive right in and make the mistakes that we did, because we learned a lot from those mistakes, as you usually do. I hate painting more than anything in this life, so this was not my favorite part, and I think you can tell by the skill and the amount of attention that I paid to what I was doing. There was a lot of sanding that had to happen later because there were drips and just too thick of paint, and I definitely heard about it from Garrett about the poor job that I did, but I was just ready for this to be done and time for us to move on. Like I said in the beginning, this had taken us months of just feeling like we were in a construction zone, so I was ready to just slap some paint on and be done with it. I knew kind of the general idea of what I wanted the color to be, but while I hate painting, the actual act of painting, I love picking out colors. So I got a ton of paint samples and I sat with them for a long time. So I moved on to sanding down my first coat so we could get the second coat of primer on there, and really we just sat and kept staring at these colors. It took me a long time to pick one. We really wanted a seamless look. We wanted it to look like a true built-in, so we went ahead and filled in every gap and every crease, everywhere that wood met cabinet, or that cabinet met cabinet, or shelf met shelf, whatever. Anytime there was a seam, we added caulk. So we went through probably 4 of those caulk tubes. It was a lot, and I hate that now. It's another thing I'll add to my list of stuff that I hate to do. But the ending look, what we ended up with, is just so beautiful. I think it just made it look that much more professional and that much more intentional. Look at you. The color we ended up with is called Deep River Green, and it's by Valspar. You can't really see it very well here. It comes out kind of blackish, but it does not look like that so much in person. It's really just beautiful. That's a better shot of it right there with some more light hitting it. We started painting and filming in probably close to midnight that night, so that's why it looks really dark. But it is very green without being too green, and it's blue without being too blue, if you know what I mean, if that makes any sense at all.
So it's the day after painting it green, with the bottom half green, and now I'm questioning my decision. So we started off painting just the bottom. We were just gonna do the bottom green and the top white. That like stark white, that's just the primer, but that's what it would look like. You know, I think that's too much of a contrast in this room. So we thought maybe we'd just paint the whole thing green. And now I'm not sure about that. So I think our plan now is to paint it, put a sample of the wall color, the actual color that the wall is painted, up there. So we're gonna put a strip of off-white up there and a strip of the wall color up there and see if we like that contrast better. Just get out of my color. Okay, so I think we made a decision and I'm feeling okay about it. I don't know. Feeling okay. I don't know that it'll be 100% until the whole thing is painted and then I'll be able to say like, yes, this was a good choice. But right now it looks all right. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this middle box is gonna be our color and it is the same, literally the same from the same tub as the wall paint, so it'll kind of blend itself in a little bit, which I like the idea of. It gives it just a more cohesive look as the room goes on, because this is that green color, which is also my nail color. That was not on purpose, but you can take a look at that. That's nice. So this green, the idea of this green color was to blend this blue from my hutch that I painted a long time ago and the kind of teal, I guess we're calling that teal. My husband says that's mint green, but I think it's more teal. The teal and the blue always looked good together in my old house because they went together but didn't match. But when we're blending in over here with a new piece, unless I did exactly the same color as this, which I didn't want to do, or an off-white with, you know, to match the legs, or this same color, like it just wouldn't flow together. So I tried to get a brand new color, a third color that kind of combined those two colors without being exactly the same, but still gave like a flow of the room. So that's the theory behind this green for the lower part of the cabinet. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. Regret that eventually, and maybe we'll end up painting the whole thing again. But if we do, you know, it's not the end of the world. I just want to try it and see if I like what it looks like in the end with everything together and all the gold hardware, or well, brass really, the brass hardware that I'm gonna put on it. It's gonna have a nice mid-century modern look in this kind of all farmhousey house. I'm trying to give it like a mid-century modern farmhouse look. Like someone in the 50s owned a farmhouse and tried to decorate it in a modern style. It's my description. That's what we're going with. So we'll see what this looks like when I get the top part painted, and hopefully then we put the doors on, and maybe after that I'll style it, and then I'll decide if I love it or hate it, which, knowing me, even if I hate it, I'm gonna leave it because I hate painting. So we'll see. I'll let you know when we're done. Now we've taken the quarter round down, or the tape that was on the quarter round, and we've decided that the white doesn't look so terrible. We're scrapping the wall color idea, although I still think that would look kind of cool. But with the white quarter round, the green doesn't stand out so much, so we're back to all white.
really excited. I figured out how I want to hang them, so how high up and which way. If I want to do like this, like that, probably like this though. Probably like that. We'll see. So first I thought I'd put them up high, but now I kind of like the middle. So what I learned, my mistake, is if I'm looking for it to look perfect, then I need to do it by sight. If I'm looking for it to actually be perfect, then I can measure it. But you can't do both. I measured it, and when I put it on, it's exactly the same distance from the top of the cabinet to the top of the pole as the first one is. But because they are slightly off up at the top, they don't look like they're even. Because they're not technically even, but they are technically even. So, it sucks. So now I'm going to have to fill that in with some putty and repaint right there, but you know, it's not the end of the world. It's annoying, it's not the end of the world. So, we move on. I have since learned that there is a Craig jig that is made specifically for hanging poles on cabinets. I didn't know that at the time, obviously, and that would have been incredibly helpful. But if I ever need it again, I know that it exists, and I'll just go pick one up or order one from Amazon or whatever, what have you. But I didn't know at the time. It would have made this whole process a lot easier and probably a little less stressful. But I got through it, and they all look great now, and that's all that matters. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Here's the before and the after. It looks incredible. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle my way through this with my mom and my husband and my kids popping in every now and then. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys will come back for another video next time, and we'll see ya. Bye.